Hey everyone! I just wanted to come on here today and talk to you about some of my favorite brushes that I use. I know whenever I do makeup tutorials, sometimes I'll mention the brush that I'm using, but I just wanted to talk about some of my favorites. They're not ones that I necessarily use every single day, but for the most part, they are. Some of them have different purposes depending on the type of product that I'm using, so yeah. I'm just gonna get into it kind of in order of how I do my makeup. So the first ones that I'm going to talk about are foundation brushes. I don't feel like I need to say much about this, but this is my beauty blender. This is the original beauty blender, so it is like 20 bucks for this sponge. And yes, some of these are going to be dirty because I did use them today. Which, by the way, if you want to see this eyeshadow look, it will probably be up before this video, so I'll have it linked down below if you want to see it. It's my anti-Valentine's Day look. This is just a different lip, so yeah, go check it out. I think it's worth it. I love it. There's not really anything like it that I've tried. I do love the Real Techniques sponge too. It's just it does not compare. Once you have this, it's kind of like, you know that this one is better. I really can't do my makeup without some sort of sponge, but this is the one that I normally go for. Now, if I'm doing my foundation with a brush, like normally I'll use the Beauty Blender for my foundation and my concealer, but if not, I'll definitely use it for my concealer. But if I want to use a brush for my foundation, I have two different ones. The more expensive one is this one from Tarte. This is called the Buffer Airbrush Finish Foundation Brush. Holy crap. That's what it's called. And this is really big, so it gets your foundation blended in really quickly. And I just really like using this for liquid foundations if I'm in a hurry. Beauty Blender does like an airbrush finish too. You just have to, you know, bounce it on there. It takes up a little more time. So if you're in a hurry, this one is the one to go with. Now for a more affordable foundation brush that I love is this one from e.l.f. This is like $6. This is called the Ultimate Blending Brush from e.l.f. And like I said, super affordable. And it just does a really good job of blending in. It's not as big as this one from Tarte, so it's going to take you a little bit longer, but it's very soft and it doesn't make your foundation look streaky, so I really like that. Now this last one is a completely unnecessary purchase that I made, but I actually really love it, and that is this little kabuki brush from Tarte. It's actually called the Airbuki powder foundation brush, and again, it's in a higher price range, so it's unnecessary. But I really like this for if you use like mineral foundation or any kind of powder foundation. This is really good at like buffing it in. If you remember like Bare Minerals days of like swirling and tapping, that this brush is good for that kind of stuff. So I really love it, plus it's adorable, so I had to buy it. What's wrong with me? And like I said, I normally like would do my concealer next. I'm like going in my head of how I would do things, and I pretty much only use my Beauty Blender or the Real Techniques sponge for concealer. Setting my under eyes, I absolutely have to have this setting brush from Real Techniques. I don't remember how much these are exactly, but you can get these in like a little set with multiple brushes for like around $20, but I want to say that it's probably like $7 or $8 for this, so not bad. But this I just need to set my under eyes every single day. I use this brush. Now as far as setting the rest of my face, I have two powder brushes that I kind of go in between. One I have actually purchased twice because it is inexpensive and I used it so much that it started to fall apart. And that is this one from e.l.f. It is just called the powder brush. It says it right here. And it's like a flat top powder brush. And the way I like to use this is with pressed powders, because you can like really get in there, swirl it around a little bit, but I like to tap this on my face. So if you like a more full coverage look, that like the more full coverage powder look, some people like to be dewy, but if you like to be really powdered, this brush is gonna do it for you. Like, especially if you use the tapping technique, like tap it in and then kind of swirl it. And then if you like a more light powdered finish, or if you just want to set your makeup with like translucent powder, then I recommend like a really large fluffy brush to do that. And this one is my favorite. It's from Real Techniques, and it's just their powder brush. It is big, fluffy, gets the job done really quickly. You can also use this for bronzer, which I've done before too, and I really like it for that as well, but I typically use it for powder. And then for bronzer, the one that I actually use is another one from Tarte, and it's this guy right here. It's like a funny flat shape, and it just does a really nice job of sort of contouring, but since it is still kind of fluffy, it blends it out nicely to give a nice bronze look. So it's like an in-between chiseled contour and bronzer at the same time, which is why I really like it, because I can just do both in one swipe of product. So I really like that. And this one is called the Swirl Power Contour and Bronzer Brush, in case you're wondering. It doesn't say that anywhere on here, but I looked it up. And then for blush, if you've been watching my videos, then you know this. This is the only brush that I like ever use for my blush, and it is from Sephora. It's number 55, and it's called the Pro Airbrush. I feel like this might be actually for foundation, but I just love it for blush because it is the perfect size for my cheeks, and it just blends it out really nicely. And yeah, I mean, I have other blush brushes that I use, but I always come back to this one because I love it so much, and it works really well for powder and cream blushes. This one is more pricey, like the Tarte ones. I want to say it's around like the $20 or $30 mark, so it took me a lot of time to finally take the plunge and get this, but I have definitely used it enough to justify buying it. And I actually have 3 brushes that I want to talk about for highlighters, because it just really depends on the look you're going for. So most of the time I use this brush right here. This is from Japonesque, and it looks a lot like that one from NARS, but this one is around like 20 bucks, and the one from NARS is like 50, I want to say. This is their like contour and highlight brush, and I haven't used it for contour because I don't normally contour, but I really like it for highlight, just to dust on the top of my cheekbones. I just think it does a really nice job. So that one is the one I use most frequently, I would say. I do sometimes like to use a fan brush for my highlight, and this is the one that I really like. It is from Morphe, and it is the R12, which is like their rose gold collection. That's really the only reason I got this one, as opposed to any of their other fan brushes that Morphe has. I just wanted the rose gold. But it's really nice. It does a more natural look though than what this one does. This one gets a little more product on there. So if you want to be like light-handed with your highlighter, then I would definitely recommend this one. And then the last one that I use for highlight is also from Morphe. It is the M427, and it is like a stippling brush, but it is flatter on one side, like it's kind of long. And I like to use this with my Colourpop highlights. This is actually one that Colourpop talked about like on their Snapchat, that everyone in their office likes to use for their highlighters. So I bought it, and it does a really good job with their highlights, and I love Colourpop's highlights. Surprise! So yeah, I love this brush. Okay, so moving on to eyes. I have a lot of favorite eyeshadow brushes, and most of them are like blending type brushes. So the first one that I'll talk about is from Wet n Wild, and this is just called their Crease brush. I think this brush was $1. Like I got it at, I either got it at Walgreens or I got it at Dollar Tree. And yeah, I actually bought two because I love it so much. It's just a nice fluffy crease brush. I use it to like blend in a transition shade or set my, if I use concealer or eyeshadow primer, I'll take like a light colored eyeshadow and just dust that all over the top to make things blend easier, and that's what I like to use it for. The next one is from Real Techniques, and this is their Bold Metals collection. This one is my absolute favorite one. If you had to buy one eyeshadow brush, like at all, I would buy this one. This could do pretty much everything, I think. Like you could do a crease, you could do a lid, you could do outer corners. I use this usually for my sloppy crease color. If you watch my videos, you know that I have one crease color that's like just sloppy. I just like throw it in there, and this is the brush I use that to do that. So yeah, I love this brush. Like I've almost contemplated buying another one, but I don't really know why I would. I only have two eyes. Why do I need a second one? This is a problem. Another blending brush that I have been using for several years now actually is this one from Sigma. It's the E25. It's talked about enough on YouTube that I don't feel like I really need to say that much about it. It's just like a flatter crease brush than the Real Techniques ones that I just showed. And I just love it. Like it's a little bit more dense. It picks up more color than the other one does. So I really, really like this one. I use it literally every day. That's why it's dirty right now. And then I'll just quickly mention this one. This is from Morphe. It's the R39, and it's like another fluffy crease brush that I use to blend out anything, everything, whatever. I really like using it. It's a little more tapered, pointed at the top, so if you're needing to do like more towards your outer corner and blend it into your crease, this is a really good brush for that. And then the next one is from Morphe also. It's the E22, and this brush I keep this one clean, and I go in and blend out without putting any more eyeshadow on this one. So that's what I use this one for, and it is a little bit thicker, a little bit longer. It just does a really good job of cleaning up any harsh lines in your eyeshadow. And then this last one is also from Sigma, and it's the E40, and I feel like this one gets talked about a lot too. I use this one for my brow bone highlight because it is just like small and fluffy and like pretty thin. It just does a nice job of lightly highlighting your eyebrows. So I use this one pretty much on a daily basis too. That is all my blending brushes. I promise. I know that was a lot and way too many and overkill. You don't need that many, I promise. So for my lid colors, I have two favorites. One is another one from Wet n Wild. This is their small eyeshadow brush, I think. Again, it's $1, and it is just really good at picking up a lid shade and just precisely patting it onto your lid, especially if it's like a glittery color. It's just really good at that. So I love that one. And then the other one is another one from Real Techniques from the Metals collection, and it's number 200, and it's called the Oval Shadow Brush. And I just like this too. I mean, you could use this with one eyeshadow that you're going to put all over your whole lid, and that's all you're going to do for the day because it's really big. So if you have small eyes, this is not going to be a good brush for you because it's going to get everywhere. But if you have bigger eyelids, then this one is really good, and I used it today. That's why it's pink. And then these two brushes pretty much serve the same purpose for me. This one is from Real Techniques, and it's called their Tapered Shadow Brush, and then this one is the Morphe R41. And I like to use these to pick up a darker color to put on my outer corner, and then I go back with one of the blending brushes and like blend it in, so that way it gets most of the color on my outer corner where I want it, and then I can blend it out how I want to with one of the other brushes. And so I use these pretty much interchangeably. I've used this one for the longest amount of time, so it's like my old favorite, and then this one I've been using more recently, so I really like it too. This one from Morphe is the E18, and it's just a pencil brush, and I love using this one for under my lower lash line. So normally I'll put on my eyeliner like on my waterline, or really like close to my waterline, basically on my eyelashes, and I'll take a shadow and just like smoke that out so that your underneath your eyes isn't blank and it just looks weird on your face. So I love this brush. I also use it every single day. The last brush is from Sonia Kashuk, and I don't know what it's called because it came in a set of like 20 brushes and it didn't have the name on it. I think the names were on the box that got thrown away. But it's just this little tiny brush. Like the bristles are so short and they're like kind of flexible, so I wouldn't necessarily use it as an eyeliner, although I feel like that's probably what it was for. I use this for my inner corner highlight, so I'll just take like a sparkly shade and just like dab it on there, and it just makes it look really pretty, and it's so precise that it just does a really nice job. I'm sure I could live without it, but I just really like using it for that. So that is it. That is way too many brushes, I know. And I don't use all of those like all the time. Like obviously I don't use 4 foundation brushes, but those are my favorite ones depending on what I'm doing that day. So I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. I'll try to link the brushes that I talked about down below, especially like the Morphe ones that you can only get online, so that you guys can check them out if you want to, because I know it's a lot of numbers that you're not gonna remember, because I don't even remember them. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos, and come find me on Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram. I'll have all that linked below as well, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye! Line, look. My eyeshadow, it's in your eyeshadow. Why did I say that weird? For Airbrush Finish Foundation.